Okay, I got my watercolor paper in. The paper is very important. This is Orchis. It's a French handmade watercolor paper. You can also use it for put other paints on it. It's cold pressed. That means it has a little texture to it. If you get hot pressed, it's going to be flat and smooth, which is nice for some type of paintings. So if you ever forget, just think of hot press as being like somebody's taking a hot iron and pressing the paper flat, so it doesn't have any texture. This is a 140-pound paper. It doesn't mean that the paper weighs 140 pounds. It's a long story, but it means that a ream or 500 sheets weighs 140 pounds. And so I always use 140 or 200, depending on what I'm doing. Now, if you want to, I would suggest if you're a beginner, instead of getting a block like this that has 20 sheets of French handmade paper, acid-free cotton, get some smaller pieces of paper and get like, 100 pound, 140, 200, 400, and experiment and see which one you like. So yes, there are 20 sheets in here, 16 by 20, 100% pure cotton, and made by my hand in France by Orchis, who has been making this paper since 1492. All right, now, so there's a desk over there that's not being used except to, put junk on it. Now, I'm going to move that desk over to the left, as close to my front door as I can, so that I can open my front door. I will turn off all overhead lights, and I'll open the door to get sunlight in. Never paint under artificial light. It changes what the colors really look like. If you paint under artificial light, and then when you're finished, you take it outside, it's not going to look right. You need to paint in sunlight. It doesn't have to be direct sunlight. I'm not going to get direct sunlight, but I'm definitely not going to be using overhead. So I'm going to move this guy like all the way over here so that I can have the door open and see what the colors really look like. And I'm going to turn all that stuff off. Okay, and so I got the paper, I got the place where I'm going to paint, and then I have my little artist box. It's got some little cardboard things in it that I like to keep with my porcelain. Pull one out. It's a nice little porcelain paint holder that I can put some bottled water. Don't use water from the tap, and then mix in some paint, and then test it on a small piece of test paper until I get the colors that I like. And I have other porcelain things in there, as you can see. I have some 6B pencils that I love. They don't make them anymore. Brushes. Got a notepad. Got some more porcelain. And a big old brush. This is a painting that I did for my daughter. It was I was at the very early stages, and so you can see I was trying something new. After I sketched it, I took a Sharpie to the edges and then painted on the inside, but there was still a lot of white spaces, and so that was a difficult painting. I'll show you the outcome if I can find it. This is a big brush. It's nice for doing like a wash of, if you're doing like a sunset and you just want to do a wash all the way across. And I have some artificial paint brushes, but then I also have some sable. They don't kill the sable animal to get those little tiny pieces of hair. Sables live in Siberia. And here I have some gouache. I have some cheap watercolor paints that, like if someone comes over and just want to have fun and paint stuff, we can do that. So like something like this might be like $5. Whereas if you get a professional watercolor from Winsor & Newton, you get about not even half that amount that you get with the cheap stuff. So you get less than half that amount, and you pay twice as much, but you get what you pay for, just like that paper I showed you. A couple of things about that paper that I forgot to mention was that it's acid free, and that means that the paper is the white parts in a watercolor painting. Well, there's no such thing as a white watercolor paint. If you want something to be white when you watercolor, let me find one. You just don't paint that area. Now that one was kind of easy because, you know, it's not too confusing. That one was not too bad. But sometimes, like in that photograph I showed you before, there was you can't see it, but there's like a full moon back there. There's a frog that's floating on a lily pad, and there's some stars in there, and it's tricky. Okay, so that's my dog. She's protecting the castle. So this is where I'm going to do my painting, and I'm going to move it over here so that I can get some sunlight during the day, and I can see what the real colors are. And so I got a little cleanup work to do, right? Okay, that's it for now.